Hey, today I'm going to talk to you about the single best time and calendar trick for financial advisors, and most specifically, the four quadrants, the four buckets that you want to place everything into to run your time at its maximum.
This is The Rare Advisor, proud to be a part of the Advisor Advancement Network and home of a business model supercharged by recurring and repeatable events. Your host is Mike Walters, CEO of USA Financial. He is an investment advisor representative of and securities are offered through USA Financial Securities, member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor.
Hey, welcome back again, as always, to the Rare Advisor. And we often talk about what RARE stands for. And the Rare Advisor is really an acronym for Recurring and Repeatable Events. And building those recurring and repeatable events into your practice is the utmost in, the secret weapon as to how to create a truly lucrative, successful practice that runs as a business, meaning I push buttons, I pull levers, and very predictable things happen inside of my business. It's not a sole proprietorship. It's what I often say is a business owned by a family is much more valuable than a family-owned business. And that's really about the idea of don't operate your practice as if it's a job, operate it as if it's a business. And so oftentimes people start to quiz me on, well, that's great, but how do you do that? And a lot of it has to do with all the things we talk about here at the Rare Advisor. But down at its core, it's how do you think about your time as an entrepreneur, your time as a leader, your time as a manager, your time as a business owner, your time as a financial advisor, your time as a successful individual running an economic enterprise. How do you think about your time? And there's a million different ways to manage your time. And, God bless everyone for finding what works best for them, because many people can't. And I can just tell you that I have a system that works really well for me. And the vast majority of the people that I share it with find that it works really well for them too. Now, first, I have to give special thanks and kudos to my good friend, Dan Sullivan at Strategic Coach, for originally coming up with the concept that I've since tweaked and adjusted, but he pioneered the concept of free focus and buffer. And so if you want to check out Dan's work, I highly encourage it. They run a great program. A lot of financial advisors are absolutely in love with the Strategic Coach. I've been through many, many years of Strategic Coach. I think it's super valuable. It's helped me in a lot of different ways, and I would always recommend someone, if they're considering it, to take a look at Strategic Coach. Obviously, we do all kinds of other coaching and mentoring, and we do all kinds of advisor protocol, business refinement work here at USA Financial. But again, so much of it starts with our time. And not just our time, but the people that are important around us. So our staff's time, our team's time. How do we identify where people should zero in and laser focus their expertise and their energy? We do it by working with what I call free game prep and repair. I'll say that again. Free, game, prep, and repair. Those are the four categories of time, which then means those are the four categories that everything falls into, at least on Mike Walters' calendar. I deal with these four categories, these quadrants, if you will, and that's where everything fits in. So if you look at my calendar, you don't see a list of phone calls or a list of to-dos or a list of appointments. What you see is a group of game items, a group of prep items, and so on and so forth. So let me explain what these are. I actually have a chart here that we can reference as we go along through this. But again, it's only four things, so it's probably easier for you to just digest this, understanding what they are. We start with free. Free is your free time that includes everything outside of work, such as your faith, your family, your friends, health, hobbies, vacation, charity, rest, rejuvenation, etc. Whatever it is that you enjoy doing outside of work or you must do outside of work. It's not always enjoyable, but we try to focus on things that are going to help us become a better person in our free time and focus on those things that matter most to us so that when we are working, we're rejuvenated. So that's our free time. So that's the biggest rock, if you will. You want to put that in the bucket first, because if we put everything else in, all of a sudden what gets lost is free time. And as they always say, on a person's deathbed, nobody ever says, I wish I spent more time at the office. They always have their majority of their regrets focused on what we would call free time, or their free category here in their time categorization. So the definition of that time spent is all these free items. Now, I think most people understand that it is the most important, but I'm going to set it aside because I really want to focus for you in today's conversation about the three business-oriented components. So free handles everything outside of my business. And then within my business, I've got game, prep, and repair. Now, excuse me, think like an athlete. Game represents game time. If I'm playing football in the NFL, I get paid for the work I do on Sundays and Monday nights, and sometimes on Thursday nights. So you know what I mean. But let's just say Sundays. I get paid for the work I do on Sundays. But there's still a lot of important stuff that goes on the other days of the week that are vital for me to be able to perform at my highest capacity on the day I really get paid for, which is Sunday. So it's kind of like, I'll give you the other days, pay me for Sundays. That's sort of the premise on game or game time. It's the key work-related items with the deepest, strongest connection to driving revenue or retaining profit. Driving revenue, retaining profit. Now, sometimes that's not going to be the same person. Some people, whether it's you as the business owner or entrepreneur or you as your job title, your primary role is to drive revenue. But then somebody else, maybe your CFO, their primary job is to retain profits. So it's the strongest connection, the deepest and strongest connection that I can make to either driving revenue or retaining profits. That's my game time. Maybe for you as a financial advisor, it's prior to the pandemic, maybe it was standing at a podium speaking to a group of retirees. Maybe it's sitting down face to face. Maybe it's some of the portfolio management. Maybe it's networking and duplicating your best elite clientele. Maybe it's working with other collateral professionals like attorneys and accountants who you get a lot of ancillary work from. Maybe it's designing the strategy of your next marketing effort inside of your financial practice. Those are game time items. But again, if I'm the CFO, it's more about retention of profit rather than driving of revenue. But now when I move to prep, so that's game, now I'm going to prep. Prep is everything else that I have to do in order for my game time to be the most effective, valuable, and successful as possible. So it's all the managerial items. It's all the administrative items. It's all the things that I need to make sure are absolutely being done correctly in my business so that when I stand up on my game time podium, I know that everything behind me is built for success. Going back to the NFL example for a moment, this is the weekdays leading up to the weekend game. So this is practice. This is reviewing film. This is running drills. This is learning the playbook. This is all the other things that go into making sure that game time is successful. That's what prep is. So same thing. Now the difference is in an athletic environment like that, you're probably running like 80% prep time for 20% game time, or maybe even skewed more. Maybe it's more like 90-10 or 95-5. But you're doing the vast majority of your efforts, your time is going into prep so that you can isolate down, hyper-focus on a short sprint of game time. Now, in the business world, it's similar, but the ratios are a little different. So in a business world, you're never going to get skewed towards 90% game time, which is what people all want to say. I want to do 100% game time. I don't want to do any prep. It's impossible. And if you did, you would fail because your game wouldn't be as successful because your prep wasn't done correctly. So you might be able to get to 60-40. Maybe you can even get to 70-30. Absolute furthest you could possibly push it is 80-20. I don't think anybody legitimately gets beyond 80-20 ratio of 80% game time to 20% prep time. And one of the reasons that 80-20 exists is because there's 5 business days in a week. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, right? 20% per day. So if I spend 4 days on game time and 1 full solid day on prep time, so that next week I'm ready to have 4 game days again, followed by a prep day, setting up the next week. So maybe what happens is you're running game time Monday through Thursday, lined up with appointments, lined up with opportunities with existing or future clientele all week long. And then Friday, you assess and review what took place for the week, planning, tweaking, adjusting, whatever it might be. And then you plan forward for next week on your prep time, half a day, and then you hit it again the next week. So game time, prep time. And then the final category is repair. Now, repair is something that Strategic Coach doesn't even address that. I've inserted that simply because we operate in a highly regulated industry. So my argument here would be that this is all the remaining stuff, especially in a regulated industry, that could torpedo your entire practice if it's left ignored or unchecked. So it's all the stuff in a highly regulated industry that could torpedo your entire enterprise if it's ignored or left unchecked. So keeping up with your CE, dealing with compliance issues, dealing with a scenario, maybe you have a customer complaint or some kind of a regulatory thing like an audit taking place or whatever. These are things that go beyond the normal scope of prep, because you can't push them off necessarily till that Friday afternoon where you would have normally scheduled a prep item. It has to, it's kind of like the house is on fire. I have to deal with it now. It's a repair item. So if I've got a disgruntled client, I might have to stop what I'm doing, jump into repair mode for a moment so that now I can go back to my game time. But if I don't take care of my repair properly, suddenly it can pull apart the entire operation. And again, not to beat a dead horse on NFL examples, but we've seen this a million times before too, right? We see the perpetually bad teams. Yes, I live near Detroit. I grew up in Detroit. Lions, I know, I get it. Thank God Stafford got out of town. Good for him. Anyway, the Lions, they have a repair problem beyond the prep and the game problem. Now, they've maybe gotten better and they try to find new coaches, but that stuff starts from ownership and goes down. So you have to make sure that you're addressing these things appropriately to get that score once you get in the red zone. So I love the football analogy relating to free game prep and repair. If that doesn't work for you, think in terms of theater, think in terms of other sports, simply just think in terms of your business, right? Game. I want to drive my game. I want to drive all those things that have the deepest connection to driving revenue and retaining profits. That's my game. And by the way, you could be sitting in a meeting with someone. So let's say your chief operations officer. If you're sitting in a meeting talking to your operations officer, the odds are they're on game time while you're on prep time. Because that's not your game, that's your prep, overseeing and working with them. But when they're reporting to you about the things they're responsible for every day, that's probably game time for them. So you can have multiple people having the same conversation. Some are on game time, some are on prep time, maybe even some are on repair. So again, keep in mind, everybody's job description works differently. The largest connection to driving revenue or retaining profits, that sets and kind of sets the mark, if you will, on game. And then you build prep and you build repair around that. Hey, I hope that's helpful. And I really hope you enjoy some free time.
This information is for licensed financial professionals only and is not intended for use in soliciting sales from the public. The views expressed represent the opinions of the presenter or their featured guest, not necessarily those of USA Financial or its affiliated subsidiaries. Industry references are generic and not intended to represent actions or beliefs of any individual or entity. Content is only presented to illustrate general principles, beliefs, or ideas and should not be construed as legal or regulatory advice. Trademark and copyright protected. USA Financial and Affiliates.